How are you doing? Welcome to live stream number 134. My name is Lars Christensen. Today is March 21st, 2018. Thank you so much for taking the time to join today's live stream. Today's topic is 3D sketching and how do you model up a exhaust manifold, like on a car type of thing. I'm not the biggest car guy, but this was one of the requests from you. Really appreciate those. My email address, lars.christensen@autodesk.com, are down in the video description. Send me an email with any requests of any future videos you would like to see. See, well, we got a bunch of people in here. Really appreciate you taking the time. If you like these videos, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. If you don't, hey, hit the thumbs down, be honest. And if you haven't already, of course, appreciate you hit that subscribe button. Let's jump into to Fusion here, and let's talk about some 3D sketching and model up an exhaust manifold in the process. Now, somebody actually just made a comment the other day about my models are not always as detailed as they would like to see them, but I'm trying to keep these live streams short, try to add as much value as quick as I can. So, let's open up a sketch here, and I'm actually... So, because I want to get to the point of how to do this, I'm actually going to do this maybe a little bit reversed. You'll see what I'm talking about in a second. So, I'm going to open up a sketch, and let's draw a circle on the top plane. Hit C, and I'm just going to make this one 50 millimeters in diameter. Hit Enter. So here we have one here. Now, I'm going to go in, and I want to come back to this in the end. I'm going to go in here, I'm going to use the rectangular pattern under sketching, because I want to show you a trick later on. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to select our circle here, and we get, every time I get a handle, I drag in them. Let's make this distance minus 150. 3 of them, we'll start out with 3. Then we make it 4 a little bit later. So one sketch, 3 circles. Okay, I'm going to stop this sketch. And actually, let me turn on the origin so we can see that there. Now, we're going to use 3D sketches, and I don't think I really talked about that before on the live stream. One of the tools you probably want to get familiar with if you are working with 3D sketches is the offset plane up here. Click on offset plane, and we can offset another plane. So I can take this plane, and I can move that plane back. I'll make it 300 just for something. So now we have the 3 circles sitting with the origin right there, and then we kind of like created that offset plane 300 away. That was that command up there. And somebody pointed out to me in one of my videos that if you select on a plane, if you hit the corner, you can make these planes, you can drag the planes bigger, make it a little bit easier for you to see. Okay, so one sketch, an offset plane. Let's start a sketch on that plane. So I'm going to create another sketch over on this plane over here. I'm going to do another circle, C for circle. And on purpose, I'm going to make sure that it's not vertical from the other ones. So I'm just going to sketch a circle over here. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's make it 80 millimeters. And D for what I mentioned, if we have new people in here. This is not really important. Just so now we have the sketch out there. Stop sketch. So what we have now is the 3 small ones, 50 millimeters ones, and then we have the big connection point up here. Now what we're gonna do to connect these is we're gonna use the Loft Command. If you're fairly familiar with the live streams, there was one where we did kind of like a what was that? A soft drink bottle. We used what's called guide curves. We're going to use those today. Shapes like this. That's another live stream. You can find that up on YouTube. So what we're essentially going to do is we're going to loft between our one circle and this circle. Okay? But what we need is we need a guide curve. Now, we don't need the guide curve that like bent shapes. We're actually going to do a center line. And for that, we're going to use a 3D sketch. So let me show you that. So I'm going to cancel out of this. This was just to kind of like show you to this point here. get back one step. I am going to start a sketch on this plane here, a standard sketch, like that. And I can draw alpha line and draw a line vertical up here. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of distance, 50 millimeters. Now hit tab on your keyboard and notice how you get a lock next to the vertical, the 50. And then see how the 90 is now highlighted. So you could actually change the angle. But if I just hit enter again, then it will log it in and you get the 50 and the horizontal relationship. If you don't hit enter there, then you don't get the relationship. All right, so this is just a straight up line coming right on that plane. We haven't done any 3D sketch. Matter of fact, we're gonna draw another line, alpha line, and I'm just gonna place it somewhere. It doesn't really matter where I'm placing it. Double click to let go of the line. So this line right now is sitting on that plane. Now, if you make, here's the trick with 3D sketches, and until you know this, I don't know how you would figure it out any otherwise. Over here, you can turn on and off 3D sketch. If you turn on 3D sketch, now how the heck do we now move a 3D sketch? This is, I mean, I don't know. I'll buy a beer for the developer who came up with this. Right click out in space and hit move copy. And we've done line strings on the move copy tool before. Now I can literally just click on that point and I get the triad that I can now move this line into 3D space. So the move command is what moves it into 3D space. If you have ever used any other kind of CAD software, 3D sketching is normally like a whole other addition to the 2D sketch, at least the ones I've used. So this is pretty neat. I'm going to do this again, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the point-to-point tool. And then when I do that, I can select the origin point, what's going to be this point, and then the center of that 80 millimeter we created, hit OK. So now what we got is we got a line, the 50 millimeters that goes up, and over the 3D sketch that goes over to the 80 millimeter. Now, I'm going to hit OK to this just to show you something. If I hit OK to this, let's go back into our loft, select the two profiles, this profile and this profile. We get the same thing we got before. Now, I'm going to select the center line in the guide and click that 3D sketch we just created, and I actually get an arrow. Now, if you're like me, I'm not good at arrows. Whenever I get an arrow, I'm always, I somehow, my brain freezes over and I don't get what the heck is going on. I get frustrated. But if you actually read what is happening here, it might help you a little bit. Or I can explain it, I guess. Solid lofts do not like when the loft kinks, when it kind of like collapses in on itself. So it's looking for like a smooth transition between the two angles. So I hope I saved a little bit of frustration here. So if we go in to that sketch we did the 3D sketch on, edit that sketch again, and we add a fillet. Now, I played with this before I got on the live stream, and I found that 40 millimeters fillet worked here. So you might have to just, it's got to be a big enough fillet that the thing don't collapse on itself. And of course, that has something to do with the sizes of the ring. So let's go in now and do a loft. Select this, and then select the center line and that 3D sketch. And you will now see that we get what looks something that could be pretty good for an exhaust manifold. Now I hit OK, and you will see that everything went away. That's because it gets absorbed. The rest of the sketches gets absorbed. Just go over to the tree over here and turn them back on the light bulbs right over here on the left. So now they're back. I need those again. Okay? All right, let's do one more of those. And hopefully this makes sense. So I'm going to repeat what I just did before. I'm going to create a new sketch. I'm going to create that on that front plane where my circles are. So just hit alpha line. Let me just sketch a line out here. I'm going to make it 50. When I hit tab key, when I do that, I get a lock next to the 50. Actually, if I hit the tab key or hit the enter key again, then it gets locked in and I get that vertical relationship. You could just insert that manually if you want to. Now I sketch this out in space. So let me do a coincident relationship between here and that center. Okay, so now I'm kind of like the same spot I was there. Let's do another line. And again, this line here, the first, it doesn't really matter where you're placing it because the trick is we're going to right click and select move copy, select that point. So now it knows what was going to move copy, but I like to prefer the point to point. Select this entity and then select up on our circle, hit OK. Now make sure you have the 3D sketch turned on, right? Then we have that fillet. If you don't put that fillet in, we're going to get an error. Let's go in here, hit fillet, and I said 40 would work. Hit OK, and then we can go in and do that loft again. Create a loft. Now you might have a hard time selecting that circle again because our first solid is in the way. Don't forget, if you hold down the left mouse button, you get a menu that appears out of the blue, and here's the profile. So we can select it there, select that. Now it turns red because Fusion sees that this is cutting into something else. What is this solid body? We're just going to change the drop down here into join and then select the guide type. It's going to be the center line. Click that there and hit OK. And now we can see how we kind of like are combining this. Does this make sense? I hope it makes sense. Let's do one more. You let me know. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Let's open up one more sketch. Finish the last one up here on the same plane. Hit alpha line again. I like to type in 50, tab, so that distance is locked in. Hit enter, and then make sure I get the vertical relationship. And then we can lock that into there. Hit alpha line. Let's go this way this time. Right click, move copy. That will turn it into a 3D sketch. I'm going to use point to point. So from here to here. Okay. Let's add the fillet. Sketch fillet in here. 40. Hit OK. And then let's do another loft. Again, if you have a hard time selecting that boundary, hold down your left mouse button and you can select the profile. Select this one. Again, we're going to go to center line. And it's got to be a join to put them all together just like that. I hope this is useful. So right now, everything looks pretty good. I'm going to turn these sketches off for a second. We don't need those, and actually the origin too. So as you can see here, a pretty quick way to kind of like combining these different in here. So how do we now, I mean, it's not hollow. So here we will use the shell command. Okay, let me click shell, and let's go in and select this and these here. And then we can add a thickness. I'm going to put in 5. And you will now see that we get, that is all shelled out with a 5mm thickness on it here. Let's go into inspection, section analysis. Let's turn the origin back on. And with the section analysis on, we can kind of see how we're hitting the first one. That tube's going to end, and then we're in the second one, and then the last one. Okay. Now there's still a couple of things that need to be done on this here, like the end brackets. And the reason I was saying before that I probably would not have modeled this up like this in the beginning is because you probably would have started out with one of those brackets. But I wanted to get to this because this is probably most people who are looking at this video in later on. That's what they're looking for. So let's adding an end plate on here. How would I do that? So create a new sketch. That face there, that we sketched this on. And I think I will just create a line like this. Something like this. And we could possibly just do a midpoint to that origin right there. D for dimension and give this some kind of a length. Oops, I didn't want it that dimension. I wanted this one. Let's make it 150. And right now, the reason it's still blue is because it's circulating around. So I'm just going to create a helping line, alpha line, and create a horizontal line here. Now remember, inside of Fusion, you don't have to turn this to a construction geometry. Though if somebody else got to look at it, it might be nice that you do. You can do that by clicking over here. And then we can do D for dimension and do some kind of a, maybe 45 degrees, like that. C for circle. I'm just going to do this quick. 20 millimeter circle. Place that one. Maybe make these two equal so we don't have to change one circle. I want to do the other circle. Let's do an offset. 5. O for offset. 5. P for project. This is probably maybe something for another live stream. O for offset. 5. Something like that. Line. If you hold down shift, it will include the tangency. Like that. Hold down shift. Then click on the circle. Click over to the line. You'll find the tangency. Hold down shift on the circle. And it should find the tangency, not the midpoint. That was the midpoint. There. And hold down shift, click on the, and find the tangency over here somewhere. If you can't do that, you can always place it, and then you can add the tangency with this one here. For somebody who's fairly new, this might be a little confusing. But fully defined, Q. And there's one thing I just want to do this quick here. And then now, of course, we can pull out in this here. Is that 10 millimeters? I don't know. Like that there. And we got, I mean, that's how I would make that bracket that it gets mounted to. I should probably have that inside filling out. You get what I'm talking about here. I hope. So there probably is also the same style on these one down here. Follow the same kind of plan. There's something I wanted to show you that you may or may not know. Some of you guys probably knows. But if you didn't, let's go all the way back to the original sketch. Remember that we sketched a 50 millimeter circle, and then we did a rectangular sketch pattern. Well, did you know that right in here next to it, there's like this, I don't know, tribal symbol? I don't know. It's supposed to look like a pattern symbol. It's like almost a rectangle little shape. If you click on that, you right click, you can actually edit the rectangular pattern for the sketch. So I could actually go in now and say, you know what, I want to make 4 of these. So let's do that. Now this is happening all the way in the beginning, right? So when I hit stop sketch, Fusion's going to recalculate. It looks like nothing happened, but if I turn that sketch number 1 back on, you will actually see that we got another sketch. So I don't know if you knew that. It's just like one of these small things that I thought maybe could be useful. Now, if we're going to add the 4th one to where we already are, if we did it right now where we are in the timeline, then that 4th one would happen after the shell command had been executed. And it would probably make sense if we had to add 4 to here that we only use one shell command to do it all, right? So we have a couple of different options. We could either drag this one back here, And that's actually probably what I would prefer, because then everything is going to come in the timeline, kind of like organized. The loft, 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 and then our next loft. You could, of course, also take this and move that down to the end, and then move one step behind that. That would kind of like be possible to do that too. But I think preferably I would go roll back here. So when we add the last one here, open your sketch. This is for anybody who came late. You get to see the 3D sketch command again. Alpha line, I'm just going to create a vertical line up here. Tap, hit enter, so that's locked in. Let's do a coincident relationship between here and here. And I just adding the 50 millimeters because I want this, I don't want this to just hit right down here. I want it kind of like go up a little bit. Here comes the 3D sketch. Make sure you got the 3D sketch turned on. Alpha line, just place any line. Now this line is not 3D sketch. It's flat. But right click, move. And now you can actually use the move command to turn this into a 3D sketch. I don't know. That just excites me. I think that is pretty cool. So I'm going to use the point to point from here to here. Hit OK. And then I'm going to go in and add the fillets from here to here. Made it 40. Stop the sketch, create the last loft between up here. Hold down the left mouse button. Oh, hold down the left mouse button. I don't get it. Why is that? Why is I not getting the profile? All right, can I do it between face and face? I can. All right, so you don't get profile, now you get the sketch. Gotta think about that. That's the wonderful thing about live. Make sure you do a join, center line, just like that there. Hit OK, and we added the fourth one. Now, of course, we don't see the shell because it's not in the timeline. When we move forward, then you will see that it's on the 3 of them, but we are, of course, missing the last face. Just go in and right-click, edit feature. Hold down Control on your keyboard or Command if you're on a Mac. Select that face to add that to the selection. Hit OK, and then you got that added on there. And then if I scroll all the back, we should get our last bracket and something. I messed something up down there. There's a warning on it. Ooh, this is good. So there's a warning on it. It's 23 minutes. This was what I was planning on showing, but let's just take a look at this warning. Right click and review warning. So there's an issue with some projected reference sketch. And some of you guys will probably say, yeah, this is happening to me all the time. I'm honestly not sure what happened. I have to admit to that. But I can see that it was probably, I don't know if I did a project edge. You see how there's a yellow kind of lines right here? What happens if I select that yellow and I hit delete on my keyboard? Can I delete the reference, I wonder? It looks like I can delete the line. Hit delete. Okay, so now I don't see any yellow anymore. I don't know what this is going to cost, but that's fine. I'll try it. So then now it looks like this. At least we don't have any arrows. Let's go in and edit the feature again. So what did I select in here? Oh, I lost the relay. You see how that is blue right there? Let's go into that sketch again. Oh, so it looks like... Did I change? Oh, this was my offset. Okay. So, let's try to see what happens. So then I get a warning. So that was my offset geometry from before. Okay. I can't move it. So this point, I will try to see. So I can't move anything, it looks like. So this was offset out from, probably from the Was that offset out from the... So let's go in here. And now I deleted those other ones, so now I might just screwed myself. There's something interesting where this one gets broken up right there, it looks like. Offset. It's always good to see when somebody else is struggling, right? I don't know why it's not selecting the whole circumference. It breaks it up. I don't like that. C for oh, am I looking straight at this? Yeah, it looks like I only want to select that. P for project. Offset. It's like it broke the whole circle down into each segment here when the thing goes together, I guess. I'm not sure this is the best way to do this. That's right. You know what? I don't think so, because look at this is happening. It's because, okay, so I think I know what is happening here. And this is maybe something that I need to do a little homework on. Let me just create a circle first. Let's make it 90. This is maybe something I need to do a little homework on. What is good? I might need some homework. What is happening is that as we are creating the solid, when we merge the different pieces together. I have a hard time talking and drawing at the same time. When we're merging the different pieces the different pipes together, we actually kind of like breaking up the face geometry of can't hit the I can't hit it. Hang on a second. Okay. Now it's fully defined again. Let me just extrude this out and then I'll talk to that. What is happening, folks? And there might be a better way to do this. I'm not sure. But what is happening is that when we're merging all these pipes together, we're kind of breaking down the face geometry. See how we get lines in here. Now, of course, these lines, like this line here, is not there in the real world. That comes from our shaded with visible edges on. Like this is how it would look, you know, in the real world. I still didn't do that right. But what happens is that when we added that fourth one to it, we kind of broke up the faces of the other ones to kind of like resembling this. And that broke actually up the reference on the circle. That's actually kind of funny because it's, I'm getting up in half an hour here. But this actually has to do with kind of like how CAD is working in the background. So how the kernel is looking at this. So the kernel is trying to display these four pipes merging together, you know, on the screen. And of course, as I'm adding the fourth one, it has to break up the other ones to make it look uniform like this. And that is what's causing that sketch, when this face changes, then of course that sketch changes back there. All right. Well, anyways, I hope you learned something. We did get into some lofts. We got into some 3D sketches. That definitely worked. And in the end, we got it all fixed out. But good. I don't mind when things breaks. You can see that sometimes I gotta poke around too. All right, folks, that was what was planned for this Wednesday here on YouTube. Tonight on Facebook, if you search at Mr. Lars Christensen, one thing, you can find me on Facebook. I'm doing a live stream tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. Absolute Beginner Series there, if you're interested in that. If not, then tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to do some sheet metal. Same time, same channel. Absolutely appreciate you guys taking the time. Thumbs up if you like it. Thumbs down if you don't. Be honest. Appreciate it. I'm going to do what I normally do. If you're watching the recording, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And if you're in the live stream, I'll jump in and say hi to everybody. Take care, and hopefully I will see you again soon.